Hey everyone, Egman here with another video. And today we're going to go over the kind of emergency errata list that happened. There's kind of like a little bit of a backstory too, if you guys haven't been kind of aware with it. And I haven't really been part of this discussion because I was in Texas and I was traveling and everything. But the long and short is that people kind of looked at some cards and there are some rulings based on wording for cards. And this isn't like something new where the translation of cards is a little bit off, but kind of the thing is that these are cards that have existed for a very, very long time, and and we knew what judges ruled of what the idea of the cards are, and like two cards kind of came to mind. So the first is this Ultimate Dark Dragon Slaying Bullet. It says counterplay: if your opponent is playing a unison card, they may either remove a marker from it for every 2 cards from their drop area and warp, or place in the dropper instead of playing it. If you don't, your opponent can only attack for 1 time for the turn. So here's the so reading this, you'd say, all right, so if they're playing in unison, whatever, right? And the issue with this wording, and mostly the big issue with it, is this counterplay right here. Counterplays have been ruled, and it's in the rule books, that they can be activated whenever your opponent plays a unison card or a battle card. So even if it says if your opponent's playing a unison card, this isn't a cost. This is simply just saying if they are, right? And then if you don't means that if you don't put a unison at the counterplay timing into the drop area, they can only attack 1 more time for the turn. So pretty much, what reading this, you'd say the intent of the card is that you can only play this when your opponent's playing a unison card, right? But technically, that is not how this is ruled, right? Because it's a counterplay, which means you have a timing window when your opponent plays a battle card. And due to your opponent playing a unison card not being a cost for this, means that you can use this effect, right? This is the ruling for it, which is interesting, right? And there was another. What else do we have here? So we'll see. Like, there are a bunch of cards that never got played, got this errata. And the kind of second happening that happened was, so there's this card, the Tree of Might. If all your opponent's energy is mono green, if there's a battle card in your battle area at the start of your main phase, choose 1 card in your life and flip it face up. If you do, your opponent adds 1 through the Tree of Might into their deck to their hand, then shuffles the deck if they look at it, right? So this is the whole thing for Turtles, right? This is their whole archetype. And it was ruled at an event. And thoughts aside, I understand why it's ruled like this, and I don't think it's incredibly wrong of saying, it just says choose 1 card in your life, right? It doesn't say choose 1 face down card in your life. It just says 1. So what a player said was like, hey, can I choose a face up card? And they said yes, because there is no restriction for this. Obviously, the intent for this card is not, but it is worded wise with this, right? And I think like part of the kerfuffle with a lot of all this happening is that these were cards that had been out for a long time, and then people are trying to look at the cards again and say, hey, wait a minute, is this how this works? And so like these are 2 different things, obviously. I think the big issue with this guy and the other cards that we see, one, besides them seeing like literally no play before people making this discovery, is that for something like Mafuba, right, we have like counterattack, and like Mafuba specifically has something called counter battle card attack, right? Just means that you can't use like Mafuba on your opponent's leader or something like that, and that the timing for this card is only when your opponent attacks with the battle card, right? I think, and we'll maybe see this in the future, and I'm not sure why they didn't make it, because maybe they thought that this clause would make sense, and obviously when they implement it correctly, it does. But it does say, you could have counter unison play, right? We could have something like that, right? There are some cards like the Zamasu, who also was a counterplay, the blue-yellow champ pack one, which they ended up just saying, you can only do it on battle cards, but that is the idea. So pretty much all these counterplay cards have the if you can activate the skill if your opponent announces that they're playing a battle card. So they're adding a colon. Or sorry, that was already there, I think, for this guy, right? Yeah, so this is counterplay, but you do as much as possible, and your opponent playing a battle card is not a cost for playing this card. You just have to be a play. So If you do this when they're playing a Unison card, you can just use it and they emit this card too. This actually was like Theory Crafter for a while, but also it was just bad, right? They're just like, why use this when you have Rebrand? This is also an older card, BT7. But like when Unison cards came out, people Theory Crafted and it was just, Rebrand was alright, so it wasn't very good. Power Beyond Super Saiyan 2, if your opponent played a Unison card, they move a marker from it. If they don't, get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. So this is like kind of good on like a 1-drop like counterplay. If they're just playing like a big battle card, you'd be like, nah. So like this could be like somewhat. This is also like BT14, so same as the Dragon Sand Bullet. We also had Ultrasonic Exchange, so counterplay if the battle card your opponent is playing has 20k power or less, your opponent would place it to the drop area instead of playing it. If they don't, choose one of their battle cards, place it on its drop area. So once again, it looking at this card, right? You get the intent for it, but it doesn't say, you can activate this when your opponent's playing a Unison card. Or you can even, I think you can play this. I think you can play this on like a battle card originally with 20k power or more. Let me see what the change for this. And obviously, once again, none of these cards are played, right? And it's mostly like Ultimate Dragon Slaying Bullet is like the big bad boy for it. Ultrasonic, where'd it go? There it is. Okay, when they announces that they're playing with a battle card 20 power, yeah. So you could like, if they're playing like a 25k, you can be like, all right, well, I can just pop it anyways. What else we got? We'll talk about Frieza at the end. Oh, we also had this Majin Buu Tricky Nemesis. So this just has like a interesting like ruling. So it has this permanent, if your leader card is a green Majin Buu, this card is green will be in your deck and drop area, but it specifically looks for mono green cards, and so technically if you put this permanent on it, it becomes a green black card. It doesn't become mono green. So they just had to add the permanent to say mono green in deck and drop area, and that's fine. I think that was just that one was just probably like a little bit of a oversight there in general, and I don't know the specifics for it, but I think there's something different in Japanese when it comes to something being only green or like partially green. I know that there's a lot of issues when multicolor cards came out between the difference between mono and like there were like the infinite saying rares too, where they had to say some, like they had to errata the cards before they came out to specify that like only mono colored cards, like I don't think they knew like mono wasn't like in their vocabulary for this. So I think that's just a little bit of an issue, and I think that's just like a difference between Japanese and English based on how to clarify the absence of something and or the inclusion of something. All right, last card we're going to talk about, and it's probably the big one, is full Power Frieza 100% overdrive. What they changed is that when this card attacked, choose all of your opponent's battle cards ignoring barrier, and they get minus 30k. They changed it to all of your opponent's non-token battle cards, which strictly means that this does not work for Aandroidd 18, and that deck is mostly there. Okay, there's like another card that the auto when the power is decreased, this part is still like live. So if you still neg their tokens another way with this card out, then you can still get the proc. So it's like not dead, but there's like another step for it. Which there is here, 1 second, let me go find it. All right, this guy. So counterattack, to get the attack and choose any number of your opponent's battle cards with total energy of 1 or less, and those cards get minus 10k power for the turn. So this also has a permanent, this card's skill can't be negated in any area. This will give all the tokens, because tokens cost 0, so you can choose all of them and you still have less than a cost of 1 and give them minus 10k. They're all 10k tokens, so they'll all pop, right? That's the new way. I don't know if it's good, but that is literally like, if you want to play the deck, you can have a shot with this, right? Anyways, my point being is that this is like the one like actual like meta hit for the errata list. And my guessing is that the timing for it was just like, you know what, we're putting all these other cards in the errata. We don't want this deck to exist anymore, and go from there. And kind of my quick thoughts on this too is that this card is like, I get the deck. Is like obnoxious sometimes, and sometimes it's uninteractable. Like if your opponent just sees all their cards, you just lose no matter what, right? You kind of have to win on like turn 2 or 3, and if you don't, your opponent's probably going to pull it out, right? That's my thoughts on the deck. However, and I know a lot of people don't like it either, and that's fine. And I'm fine with it being gone. Don't get me wrong. I'm okay with this being gone. I'm a little bit happy even, because it's an obnoxious deck. But I don't like this is probably like me and my only like disagreement. I do not like that how it was banned like two days before a big event. I know some people were taking it too, and I get it, and I get the deck's not great all the time, but like it's such a polarizing idea, and it has been doing a little bit well lately, and I get that. But if this was like a new interaction that someone found out like a month ago, and then people started abusing it, and then they banned it, I was like, you know what, we don't like this, let's ban it. Fine, I get it. Like that's kind of like the high roller technique. That's happened to me several times where I find an interaction and they just ban the card like a week later. Like it stinks. Like when that happened with like the green Goku, Universe 7 Goku that can go into Victory Strike. And I mean, they also banned my boy Cell. Whatever, this stuff happens. But to do it in like an emergency ban list, when this has been doing, the deck has been doing well in tournaments, but it hasn't been like crushing tournaments. It did win one of the online regionals. It did get like one top in the other one, and it didn't even get top 16 in the Arlington event. I think it did do well in EU as well, so that might be different. But I don't know. Like, there's something about it that like I don't like the idea that this deck has been around for over 2 years. Like this deck, this might get me demonetized, is older than Corona, right? This is older than COVID. This is an older than COVID interaction that has existed in the game. And then they decide to just poof, it's gone. Like, so I don't know. I've had this happen to me before. This is getting rambly, but this is like really old where Universe, here, let's see if we can find it. There's a leader, it's the Vegeta leader from like 2018, from like the Ultimate Box. When it's called the Ultimate Box because they literally only made one because they didn't want to make the product anymore. But it's a, let me see how I have to, I'm going to do leaders without the energy cost. Let's see. More or less, there's this interaction with Vegeta where you could like energy lock your opponent out with a card that is also now banned. So it's fine, whatever. So, and like the interaction happened, it topped a tournament. I was planning on running it, and they're like, you know what? A week before that tournament, or like less than a week before that tournament, they said, you know what? Let's just ban the interaction, which is fine. But, and like the interaction existed, it was for a tournament. They said they didn't like it. They got rid of it. Fine. Android 18 mil has been around for like 2 years. 2 years people have been playing this. No repercussions, no insight from Bandai, and then they just decided to ban it willy-nilly. That's my big whatever. So heart goes out to people who are planning on playing it in Miami. I'm probably making too big of a deal about it, but I don't know. It's just such weird timing. And like after Miami, as of this video, there are literally no events that are expected for DBS. There are no announced events from an official level, so it's just weird that they let it die instead of like after the tournament. But maybe they were worried it was going to take it or something. But and like maybe they just wanted everything at once, because obviously they definitely wanted this banned or like this interaction changed for that event. So maybe they decided to do it all at once. But that I don't know. That's all I'm talking about. I'm gotten super rambly. We're going over on this video, but all in all, good changes. Like them. Even though the big change is this guy, right? That's like the biggest issue. These are just like should be fixed, but like no one is using them anyways. Tree of Might for trolls players everywhere, and then we'll see if this sees any play either. I don't know, but that's gonna be it for me. Let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know if I'm being too much of a curmudgeon about this too. I probably am, and that's okay. And that's gonna be it for me. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it.